Hi, welcome back to the Listen Up Grow podcast. I'm your host, Zach Randles-Friedman, where we don't just read the headlines, we slow them down and open them up and talk about what they really mean. Today's episode moves across decades and continents and hidden queer history inside the music industry to Hollywood visibility to courtroom decisions that could reshape the lives of trans kids to global crackdowns that remind us how fragile progress still is. This is culture, this is politics, and this is what power looks like. Who has it, who's losing it, and who's fighting back. So let's get into today's news. Our first story is David Geffen and the quiet power of queer history. Legendary performer Cher is reflecting on a relationship that changed the trajectory of her life and quietly shaped pop history. Appearing on Armchair Expert with Dax Shepard, Cher spoke candidly about her bond with music executive David Geffen, describing what she called a special arrangement. According to Cher, she was the first person Geffen ever had genuine romantic feelings for at the time when he was still deeply closeted in an industry that offered success but little safety. What matters much isn't gossip, it's impact. Geffen helped Cher escape her marriage to Sonny Bono, a relationship she had longed as controlling and professionally limiting. With Geffen's support, Cher reclaimed ownership of her career, her finances, and her future, something few women in entertainment were able to do at that time. Decades later, Cher remains fiercely protective of Geffen, acknowledging the complexity of loving someone who couldn't live openly, while still honoring the role he played in her survival. It's a reminder that queer history doesn't only live in pride parades, sometimes it lives in contracts, closed doors, and the quiet acts of rescue. Next, heated rivalry crosses into mainstream. What began a beloved queer romance has officially become a cultural moment. The stars of Heated Rivalry are stepping into late night television, a milestone that signals just how far the show has traveled beyond niche fandom. Hudson Williams makes his late night debut on The Tonight Show, starring Jimmy Fallon on January 7th, which is tonight, followed by Connor Story appearing on Late Night with Seth Meyers on January 12th. This isn't just press, this is validation. For decades, queer sports stories were treated as risky, niche, or too specific. Heated rivalry success, and now its late night rollout proves there is a mainstream appetite for queer narratives that unapologetically emotional, romantic, and complex. The secret obsession is no longer a secret. Next, California court temporarily halts forced outing of students. A major legal battle over student privacy is unfolding in California, and stakes couldn't be higher. A panel has temporarily blocked a lower court that would have allowed, and in some cases required, teachers to disclose a student's gender identity to their parents without students' consent. This mattered because across California, nearly 60% of school districts currently maintain confidentiality policies protecting students' gender expression and identity. Those policies exist for a reason: safety. For LGBTQ and trans students, school is the only place where they can exist openly. Forced disclosure at home can lead to emotional abuse, homelessness, or worse. Importantly, this ruling does not resolve the case, it merely pushes enforcement while appeals continue. But for now, it prevents immediate harm and time that students desperately need. Next story is Joe Curry turns touring into a tangible allyship. While online discourse churns endlessly, Joe Carey, known musically as DJO from the Stranger Things star, is donating $1 from every ticket sold on his global tour to the Ally Coalition, an organization founded by Jack and Rachel that supports LGBTQ youth through housing, education, and crisis resources. A message shared by the organization, Curry spoke about the importance of visibility, growth, and providing safe spaces, especially during a year filled with change. In an era where queer people are under legislative attack, direct funding matters. visibility matters and follow through matters. This is what allyship looks like when it leaves the comment section. Next, Kazakhstan criminalizes queer existence. As 2025 came to a close, Kazakhstan quietly moved backwards in a very dramatic way. The president signed a sweeping anti LGBTQ plus law that was slipped into unrelated legislation concerning national archives. The law makes it illegal to promote gay, lesbian, and transgender identities in public or online. Activists, including the youth led Queer KZ, warned the law emboldened already and rampant abuse, including kidnapping, torture, and state sanctioned harassment. Labeling visibility as propaganda is a tactic used by authoritarian regimes worldwide. The goal is simple: erase people from public life. And as we enter into 2026, global solidarity isn't optional, it's essential. This next story I love, and I watched the Critic Choice Awards and because they delivered a historic queer win. Award season has officially arrived, and queer stories are leading the way. At the Critic Choice Awards, Rhea Seehorn won Best Actress for Pluribus, a performance widely praised for its unflinching portrayal of queer trauma, resilience, and survival. And Tramel Tillman continued his historic run with Best Supporting Actor for Severance, solidifying that his Emmy win was no fluke. In film, Amy Madigan took home win for Weapons with her character Aunt Gladys, already embraced as a queer cult icon. A rare moment of awards recognition for horror. Even the host, Chelsea Handler, gave a nod to Heated Rivalry, joking that what was once a secret obsession has officially gone mainstream. Representation isn't a trend, it's a reckoning. And then Trump revives the impeachment fear playbook. Speaking to Republicans at the House GOP retreat, Donald Trump returned to familiar message: fear. Trump warned that if Democrats regain control of Congress after the midterms, they'll find a reason to impeach him, framing accountability as persecution and reinforcing grievance as political strategy. It's messaging designed to mobilize loyalty through resentment, and it signals exactly how the next election cycle will be framed. And if Donald Trump does get impeached, I think the country would be a lot better off, in my opinion. And he's done about a billion things, I think, in my opinion, that should get him impeached. Utah pushes forward despite its own evidence. Utah Republican leadership is moving ahead with plans to permanently ban gender affirming care for minors, even after their own state mandated DHHS report found that medical evidence supports access to such care. House Speaker Mike Schultz says the ban is a priority, despite Utah already enforcing one of the strictest policies in the nation. This is a growing pattern nationwide. Commission strategies can ignore conclusions, legislation anyway. The goal is not evidence based policy, it's control. Next, January 6th candidate uses Nazi imagery. Republican state candidate Jake Lang drew national condemnation after performing a Nazi salute during a rally outside AIPAC headquarters. Lang, who faces charges related to assaulting Capitol Police during the January 6th insurrection, also issued the violent threats and used racist slurs, such as the N word. This is not a fringe extremist creeping in, it's an extremist running for office. God, let's hope he doesn't make it. Next, hate crime in Sacramento turns fatal. A night celebration turned deadly for Alvin Prasad, a 58-year-old gay man who died from injuries sustained during a November assault authorities believe was a hate crime. Prasad was leaving a nightclub in Sacramento's Lavender Heights, where he was targeted over his flamboyant Halloween costume. His alleged attacker now faces homicide charges. This is where rhetoric leads. This is what violence looks like when it is normalized. Next, Washington state ballot targets trans youth. Far right Washington says it's collected enough signatures to place a trans sports ban on the ballot. The proposal would require invasive medical verification, effectively banning trans girls from competing in girls' sports. Critics warn the initiative is less about fairness and more about surveillance, humiliation, and exclusion. Next, in the UK, trans advocates expose free speech hypocrisy. UK trans led group Bashback says it's hacked the Free Speech Union, releasing donor data to expose what they call selective defense of free speech. Their argument, when free speech only protects those who harm marginalized people, it's not neutral, it's weaponized. Our next story in Japan is a Japan footballer comes out as trans. Former professional player Murami Yakamazaki has come out as a trans man, sharing wedding photos and a message about finally living openly. In a sports culture where resilience is often enforced, his visibility is powerful and deeply human. And then we have Mile Heisner reflects on the Netflix actor. Heisner spoke with gaiety about the cancellation of Boots, a Netflix series he hoped would be part of his life for years. While disappointed, Miles expressed gratitude for the creative experience and the audience that embraced the show. A reminder that queer stories often find devotion even when platforms pull the plug. Our next story is Jameela Jamil on rage, masculinity, and queerness. On the Stay Hydrated, Jameela Jamil discussed rage as survival, toxic masculinity, and closeted fear. Her message was blunt: sexuality isn't a choice, and those who think it protecting their own decisions. Basically, the remark was made: at what point did a straight person say, I'm going to be straight? That's the stories that are isolated moments that are connected by power, fear, visibility, and resistance. We'll keep telling them, we'll keep naming them, and we'll keep standing with the people most affected. Thanks for listening. If you think this podcast would resonate with somebody that you know, please be sure to share it. Check in tomorrow for more LGBTQ plus news. Thanks for listening.